At this place in history, we're on Mine Road in South Strafford with Steve Perkins, Executive Director of the Vermont Historical Society. Steve, what brings us here this week?
So, Mike, we're going to be talking about mining in Vermont. You know, often we talk about granite and marble, but we're talking about some other fancy ores today. A very interesting site. It's been around for a long time. So we're going to go up and we're going to visit with Steve Willbanks, who's the president of the Strafford Historical Society. He's going to tell us more about mining history.
The first commercially viable extraction was copper sulfate or iron sulfate. Copper is valuable because it was a fixative for dyes for the wool industry and other kinds of fabrics. At the same time, they would find nearby, there would seem to be some deposits of copper. And the copperas production started in about 1809.
So really early.
They built a pretty elaborate extraction process for the copperas, the refining process. Behind us over here, there's a landscape that's on quite a slope, and the copperas was available at the top of that hill, and then they brought it down using gravity. It took a while for the copper smelting process and everything to be developed to the point where it was efficient.
So a little more complex to extract copper than the
right.
Copper.
It takes a lot more heat, and it wasn't until about 1830, Isaac Tyson Jr., he developed a process using anthracite coal and blast furnace to do the smelting, to preheat the furnace, which hadn't been done before. And he has the patents on those.
And that took place right here.
And that took place right here.
But the anthracite coal had to come from somewhere else.
And it wasn't really feasible economically until they put it on, until the railroad came through here.
How did it get its name, Elizabeth Mine?
So it was Isaac Tyson's grandson's wife. There's been kind of a boom and bust on copper. It was one of those commodities that if you're close to it by the time of a war, it's going to be very profitable to open the mine because there's a great need for the copper at that point. There are up to 200 miners over for extended periods of time. Probably the most dramatic of those times, there were 2 points that were probably really dramatic. Early 1900s, and then the other time that it really revved up was just prior to World War II, and then after that it falls, and it's kind of hard. It's hard to find them funds to keep it going. You're not making very much money. There may be as many as 20 different corporate entities that own this property at various times. They're fighting against the inevitable, which is as people went further west, they found much larger pockets of these minerals, particularly copper, out first in Michigan, then in Arizona and Montana. And it's so close, it was easy to extract that there was no way that this mine could compete.
The Elizabeth Mine closed for the final time in 1958, and it's just been cleaned up as part of the EPA's Superfund program. Steve Willbanks will tell us about that effort next week at This Place in History.